Okay, this video is going to be about creating and deleting directories. Okay, so I'm logged into the Linux server here, ls, that's in the root. I want to go back to my home directory, ls. Okay, so in my home directory I'm going to start making some other directories, right? So I might make a directory and with the mkdir command, make dir, and I want to call it dir1. If I type ls, we see dir1 is there. Right? If I type ls-l, we see we have dir1 in the list, and that first bit is a 1. Right? That D there tells us that this object here is a directory. All right. So we've created one directory, and we can remove it with rmdir, remove dir. This command isn't particularly useful though, because it can only remove empty directories. Dir is empty, and we see that it removes it just fine. All right, so let's try it again. We'll make another directory, but this time we'll try to make a directory that contains several things, right? So we'll say this is dir2, and we want a directory inside of that called foo, and a directory inside of that called bar. So we're going to try to create multiple directories here at once. Now you'll find that the make dir command fails here. Cannot create a directory. It's trying to create this directory, but it can't find this. Right? This directory doesn't exist because this one doesn't exist. Right? So you can't create a directory until you've created the directories before it. Right? So there is actually a way to do that. You have to add an extra command option to the make dir command. So mkdir -p, and we can do dir2 /foo/bar. And that command succeeds. We can type ls. We see we've got dir2, ls dir2. So this is a relative path to my home directory. Right, and we've got foo in there, so I can say ls dir2 /foo, and there's bar. And there shouldn't be anything inside of bar. There we go. All right, but now dir2 has other items in it. So if we try remove dir, and we're going to remove dir2, failed. Right? It's not an empty directory. So remove directory is not that useful of a command. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to use the remove command, rm, and that's how we remove individual files. But we're going to add a special option to it, the -r, which stands for recursive. That means go inside of the folder. If it has any other folders, go inside of them and delete all the items. And if there are any folders in there, delete all those items. So you are recursively going inside folders, inside of folders, inside of folders. So that R there stands for recursive. All right, and then I'm going to add the F option, which stands for force. All right, so we'll leave off the F option to begin with. So this is remove, space, and then recursively. Okay, so the issue with this by itself, if we type in dir2, a lot of times the remove command will ask you multiple times if you want to delete all the items in here. I actually have an alias set up so it doesn't do that. So this is the normal behavior, but you have to be very careful with the remove command, okay? Because it removes it, and you can't get it back very easily. There's no trash can, right? So for our purposes, you can't really get this back. You have to have admin privileges and advanced tools and all sorts of different things. So make sure whenever you use the rm command, don't just hit enter. Take a second look and make absolutely sure that's what you want to do, right? So we say ls, and that's good. The dir, disappeared. All right. So let's say we want to cd into the / directory. Right. I can make directories in my home folder from here. I just have to specify an absolute path, or a path relative to this location, right? And the shell will expand the tilde into an absolute path. So I could do something like mkdir and then tilde. That's going to expand to the absolute path of my home directory. And I want to maybe make a temporary directory and maybe put some music stuff in there. And then, I don't know, playlists. Something like that. So we have some directories in here. right? It failed because I don't have the -p option, right? So that -p allows you to make all of the directories required to make the final one. So right now temp and music don't exist. That's why it errored. So if I add the -p, then that works just fine, and I can cd back to my home, and then I can ls, we see temp. I could cd into another directory, say my desktop, oops, cd, right, and I could try to remove this, right? So rm, again, -r, and it's common to add the f, this command option together, is sometimes called rimref, remove, and then recursively force the removal. All right, so rimref, and then we want to be very careful with this. We could do ~/tmp, right? That would get it because tilde is the absolute path. The shell will expand that to the absolute path, and then /temp afterwards. Or we could use the dot shortcut. The dot is basically a link to the parent directory. Okay, so remove recursively and force .. And so this is relative. This .. we are currently in my desktop, right, in my home directory in my desktop. So just for reference, I'm going to open this notepad so I can make a note. So we have my home directory is u1/class/cs20100. Right, so that's my home directory, and then we're inside of desktop. Okay, so this is my current working directory, right? And then .. I'm saying is relative to that. So that would be as if this absolute path was .. And that takes me up a directory, which essentially takes me to this place. All right, so the .. essentially cancels the directory beforehand, effectively, right? It doesn't technically cancel it, but it effectively does. All right, so if I have desktop/.. /temp, right? So if we keep going with this, temp, that's effectively saying the .. cancels this out, right? So that's effectively saying /u1/class/cs20100/tmp. Okay, this is what's called a normalized path. It removes any of the dot or .. links inside of your path. Okay, theoretically, I could have as many of those .. as I wanted. Right, it would make the URL or the path to that file look really ugly. Right, so let's say I did .. desktop. I could go into the desktop again, and then say .. and I could just keep doing that indefinitely. And by the end of it, it would still, each one of these would just cancel out the desktop. Right, I could do, easily do 2 more. Right, and that's still a valid path. Right, so built into the operating system or the file system, I mean, are these 2 directories. If I look in my desktop, ls, there's nothing in there. There's 2 directories, a dot and a .. Right, so ls command shows nothing in my desktop. If I do the -a command, it'll show me the hidden files. And hidden files in Linux start with a dot. And when we do it that way, we see that we have 2 hidden files. We have dot, which means this current directory. It's a file system link for the current directory, and then .. which is a file system link to the parent directory. Every directory has these, and that's the way it works. Whatever directory you have, .. points to its parent, and then the .. points to this current directory. So just as an example too, I can create a file using the touch command, and I'll say .file. So this file name starts with a dot. So I say ls-a, and we see it. If I just type ls, it's hidden. So remember the -a option stands for show all, and it shows even the hidden files. Okay, we can use rm.file, and now it goes away, just like that. So the dot and then the .. are part of the file system. It's not something the shell does, and we can prove that. We can say echo dot dot slash, right? And it just echoes out dot dot slash. The shell didn't change this, right? When I reference dot dot, there's actually a link, a shortcut inside of each individual directory, and it means a different thing depending on which directory you're in, right? Okay. So that is creating and deleting directories. So again, be very, very careful with the remove command, and whenever you're deleting a directory, you need the -R and toss in the F. Okay, be very careful, always give it a second look before. And if you need to, just create a backup of your directory before you delete it, and that way you'll know for sure if it works, and then you can delete them both. You don't want to delete the wrong thing, right? It's just very important. Okay, so it's a little bit about directories and a little bit more about the dot dot link and the dot link.